really on a Helmholtz resonator, which we'll just discuss now. He developed the device in order to extract different frequencies from a compound sound, which is kind of like the basics of EQing, basically. If he didn't do this research, we wouldn't know how to EQ properly now, and we wouldn't be able to kind of do it electronically as we do now. He would make these Helmholtz resonators, as you can see here. We have a bit at the top which is called the nipple, and then the bottom here which would extract the sound from the compound sound. He'd put this bit in his ear, and he'd be able to tell whether or not that frequency is pure when coming from a compound sound. And this is the equation here to work out a Helmholtz resonator in that form. So frequency equals s, the speed of sound, divided by 2 pi. And I'll talk about why everything's in pi in a little bit now. Everything's spherical. And that is times by A, the area of the neck, which is important, we'll talk about that in a minute as well, divided by a length of the neck, which is then times by volume and squared. Okay. How do they work? This is where my little paper mache thing comes in. Right, so this is the body of the Helmholtz resonator, and this is the neck here. If you turn it around inside, I haven't painted it, I think. Okay, so sound passes over the top here, and then we'll travel down inside. Now the sound, or sorry, the air within the neck here is obviously of a smaller volume than the body here. So when this air gets pushed down from the sound going across, it will then push and compress the air within the body. When the air within the body is compressed, it needs an outlet. Now, obviously, in the Helmholtz resonator that you saw before, the outlet was through the nipple, but because we don't have that, the air has to be pushed back up. So the air gets pushed back up, which then creates oscillation within the neck, and then causes phase cancellation at the top from the air going past, the sound going past, and the sound coming back out there, which then cancels out that particular frequency. We're also going to talk quickly about what's called a von Karman vortex street. Now, basically, what that is, really is a vortex being made above the Helmholtz resonator. A good description here is a repeating pattern of swirling vortices caused by the unsteady separation of flow. So because air's coming up here, air's going across here, a vortex is formed. The vortex is formed because of it being round, and like I said before, we're going to talk about why Helmholtz resonators are round, especially the neck. If it was square, a vortex wouldn't be able to be formed because it's obviously swirling around the diameter of the, or the circumference, sorry, of the neck. Von Karman vortex street is measured in what is called Reynolds number, see down here, or known as Re, and the equation here is Vd over V. The top V is the steady velocity or rate of change defined by direction and speed of the flow upstream of the cylinder. The format is a bit wrong, unfortunately. So the flow coming up here, that's the V, and D, the diameter of the cylinder, and that is then divided by the kinetic viscosity or resistance of the fluid or air. So generally the resistance that's formed in the neck, because it's obviously flowing up and causing a vortex within the neck, is the resistance there. Oh, and quickly, when sound travels past, because of this vortex, it tends to pull sound down. If you can imagine, as you know, like in space, like vortexes, things kind of get pulled into it, so that actually helps to kind of make the sound, prolong the sound, basically. General principles to follow when building a Helmholtz resonator or using a Helmholtz resonator within another application. Larger openings, so here, larger openings means higher frequency because the air can move in and out a lot faster. Larger volume, the volume in here, produces lower frequencies because air must move, more air must move in order to relieve the pressure that has been created because of the air is moving down. And a larger neck because the lower frequency is there is more resistance, as I spoke about earlier. Helmholtz resonators do have diffusion properties. Not as good as some of the diffusion panels that are up here, but they still do have diffusion properties. Now, if we had a Helmholtz resonator that was a big board with lots of perforated holes, that can quite often have diffusion properties described more like as an omnidiffuser here. So basically, the sound would reflect off in a hemisphere fashion, whereas the quadratic diffusers here would be more of like a hemi-disc fashion. So Helmholtz resonators within a slat with lots of little perforated holes quite desirable within studios because of their diffusion properties in the form of hemisphere. What else are they used for? Helmholtz resonators are used in speakers and headphones, which we'll talk about in a little while. They're also used in guitars, as you can see by the sound hole down there, Kick drums, another sound hole. Obviously, the bigger the smaller the sound hole, they will produce a different tone, and it's the same with guitars. And they're also used in cars. Obviously, we're talking about sound, but they're also used like in a mechanical sense as well. Valves within the engine where the fuel gets burned, pushes the pistons up and down. That is a Helmholtz resonator, and so is the exhaust. The exhaust is tuned via using Helmholtz equations. And old hearing aids, which we'll have a quick look at as well in a second. Hearing aids, as you get older, you